Welcome to Inform TV. I'm Ripke, Alexandria, Minnesota. Today we're going to take a look at a typical county commissioner meeting. It doesn't matter what county you live in, whether you are listening to us from Fargo-Moorhead area, Detroit Lakes, Walker, Park Rapids, Perham, Sauk Center, Wadena, Kimball. All the areas we tend to have similar debates in our local political process, and what we're going to take a look at today, first I'll give you a little background. Some people here have asked me to cover our county commissioner meetings, and so they can watch them on television, but obviously I won't do that for my whole market. But as I approached these county commissioners a couple of months ago, told them I'd like to do it, and was actually in the local paper here that the county commissioner meetings would probably be televised in the future. Had many good comments. Hey, that's what we need to get done so we can watch these guys, what they're up to. And so, but I didn't hear anything, so here the other day I went back and took my camera to a county commissioner meeting because the agenda had a few items that caught my eye, and so I thought I'd test my camera out, my sound a little bit, and obviously you're going to have to turn up the volume a little bit and bear in mind some of the hisses and whatever, but I think you can definitely hear the discussion that's going on, and I've got a few different segments. I didn't just listen to the commissioners like the typical media would do. I listened to the commissioners, and then I went on the road to see what the equipment looked like they were talking about, and at the same time we talked about some additional issues relating to union processes that also you folks that don't live in Douglas County have going on, and you'll find interesting. I've got some things on the local jail that was just built here, and some of the things that were said about that, and you'll find it very interesting, I believe. But before we flick to a 4-minute segment that wasn't cut, that I filmed different segments of this meeting, and probably will have a couple shows of what went on in Douglas County, because they all kind of relate to the bigger area that I cover here, and you'll all find interesting. The debate we're going to look at in the first segment here relates to buying this new snowplow truck. And it's $175,800 outlay by the county, so it's no small issue. But the county here had a practice of updating their trucks, basically one every 10 years, and then they rotated to a 12-year rotation. And now, as we listen to the tape, you'll see that suddenly the commissioners changed their mind. And yet, from a person who was in business for over 30 years, I think having one, in this case, they have 10 tandem trucks and 2 straight axe trucks that they all use for hauling gravel and hot mix in the summertime, and snow removal in the wintertime. So on a 12-year rotation, basically they trade a truck every year. And I think any banker out there or any businessman will say, well, that's probably a pretty good practice to follow. But suddenly they changed their mind, and let's have a listen to see what they say here in Douglas County on looking at policy that before said let's trade a truck every 12 years. And here's the discussion that goes on. 4 minutes now, bear in mind, and I'm doing that to be fair to the commissioners. I'm not cutting anything in here, but you'll see the discussion, and I think it's very typical in your county as well when something comes up like this.
So it's $24,000. That truck is worth the engine in that truck. What's in that truck for an engine? L10 or what is it? The L10, yes. Well, it's worth $10,000 for somebody to take it for simple reason everybody wants them, so that they can use them to put in pre-emissions. I mean, this thing for $24,000, let's run it in the ground and we pay for it. $10,000 worth of parts, I don't know what's wrong with it. If you got to take and put a set of brakes and drums and shoes and kingpins and that, put $10,000 into it and run it. Run it in the ground, because it's not worth anything. It's worth more to us to run in the ground than to get rid of it. So, that's my speech for today.
Okay. After Ron and I talked yesterday, I did check on the truck we're purchasing. It does have the same engine that we purchased 2 years ago. It does not have that DFE or DGF fluid system. International has come up with an engine that meets the requirements without.
Yeah, they use more AGR. AGR did for what? Don't ask me that.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, the board has approved our budget. Does include money for equipment, and I guess it's my responsibility to recommend to the board utilize that equipment budget. And while we have larger needs on equipment, the highest priority on our system is the trucks. And we're working on fully on 12 years.
If we went just to cabin chassis, would the equipment that is on the present truck fit on the new chassis?
Yeah, but that equipment is pretty well beat up. It's mainly the hitch and wing. After 12 years, they get pounded pretty well. The new sanders that we are buying are stainless steel, so we do plan to rotate those between at least 2 trucks. This 2000 Volvo does not have one. And the box was, like I said, 12 years of salt and sand run through it.
Okay, anything else? Otherwise, have you been having lots of trouble with this particular vehicle?
This one has caused us more headache. We do have a 98 Sterling that we're planning on keeping until the next one. So that'll be 14 to 15 years old when we dispose of that. But the Volvo, rather than a day or two waiting for parts, it's a week or two. And not on the engine or the drivetrain, it's more on the cabin chassis parts. The Volvo takes longer to get parts. That's why we're looking at disposing of this one before the 90.
Okay. Any more discussion? Call. I don't have no problems. We got that. I thought we had it here. Have a motion? I have a motion. Approved. Not. Anything else for lack of motion? Okay.
What I'm getting at here is when we look at government, many times the last part, silence. And to give you just a little update, the $24,000 he was talking about was the trade-in value of this Volvo truck they have. And the Dave, the Public Works person, said, well, that's what the International dealership here in town had offered on a trade, but there's some website that that auctions off and makes available to other cities, counties, and federal government a site to buy vehicles. And he told the commissioners he thought he could get more than $24,000 on that site. But what I'm getting at here is we're talking about a good chunk of money, but what will the savings do? in Douglas County, one of the reasons people here want me to talk about, they've been doing an awful lot of building. We built a jail, we built on the side of the courthouse, and they had a dispute. First they were going to build a new law enforcement center, both for the city and the county, and that kind of fell through. Then the old building, the sheriff's department stayed there, and the city built a new building by themselves right next to the new county jail. So this is kind of a tangling worm mess, you people that don't live in Douglas County, but you got your own bait and play stories in your county as well. And now they're spending a whole bunch of money on the old school building right across where there's some other county offices. So sinisterly, I've got to say that while we don't buy the snowplow, we can put another $175,000 in that old rat hole that most of the coffee shop and bar talk refers to them. But the commissioners are committed now, guys. Finish the project, let's see what happens. But what I'm getting at here today is the fact that so often we hear in government and we criticize our public employees about their policies and what they're really up to. When I went on the road down to Kensington where this truck was at, and myself, who used to have 5 semis or so and some tandem trucks in my history and triaxles and that kind of thing, I could see why with having 12 trucks, a 12-year rotation was a good way to do it. They also send me the public employees are actually straightening this Volvo rather than a little bit older one, and because it's causing more trouble and it's not as easy to get around with, and so I have to commend our county employees for their view on this thing. And I'll take a second here and look at what they had to say.
TV, we're here in the garage in Kensington looking at the truck that commissioners, we're not getting the employee in trouble. He looks like a good man, but we've got to see what the driver is. And we've got 2 trucks here. One's only, what, 2 years old next to us, and this is the one you drive?
This is the one I drive.
And what year is this one, you know?
2000.
It's a 2000?
Yep.
And obviously a tandem truck, and you guys use this in the summer much too, or?
Yes, we haul gravel with it.
Okay.
Haul blacktop with it.
Okay. What issues have you guys had with it, and why did that move up the ladder as far as the item to train? You know, some issues with getting parts and stuff like that?
There's been some issues with parts in it, yes. And then we were on a 10-year rotation, and then the commissioners moved it up to a 12-year rotation, and it is due to be traded in at a 12-year rotation.
Now, they were talking today about running it into the ground. How many years will she run before she stops?
That's anybody's guess.
Yeah, that's...
It just depends what kind of winter you get. If you get a bad winter and you can't afford to have breakdowns and you're plowing snow, and at one time we had 3 trucks down, and then we run into trouble.
Yeah, that's obviously what I'm thinking. I think the previous, just kind of walk around, we'll walk around the truck a little bit, and if you got anything wrong on it you see or experience trouble with?
Right now, we don't have any issues with it at the moment.
She's running good. She was out this morning,
It was
right?
out this morning, yep.
And
Sanding with it.
okay, and no trouble with it. It's a Volvo. They run a Detroit, or what kind of engine they got?
It's got a Cummins.
It's got a Cummins in.
Yep.
Okay, okay.
And this is one of the last ones. This is an auto car.
Okay.
This is the last year they made the auto car when this one was produced.
Okay.
It's not like an over-the-road truck. It's more or less, you know, it's a heavy-duty truck.
Yeah.
It's clumsy, really clumsy.
Yeah, that's kind of the way it looks to me. I used to own a number of semis and tandems and triaxles, that kind of thing. So that's what it looks to me like it is. Can you, let's just walk around it and show you out for equipment, then we'll open the door and look in the cab quick. And,
Okay, original paint
suspension problems? Or?
Suspension, we did have to replace the pivot bushings on it. That was, I think, 2 years ago when they replaced them.
Okay.
And as far as differentials, we didn't have any trouble with.
Traction-wise, is as good as any of them, or?
Well, it depends on the load you got on.
Okay.
That's the big thing. If you got a load on, you got good traction. Once you start emptying out, you lose traction.
Power when you're loaded with gravel?
No, that's the problem with this truck. This is the one smallest engine we got in the trucks.
Okay.
As far as plowing and hauling, it's very underpowered.
This is a, it's a Cummins, what?
351 ISM.
What horsepower is that then, do you know?
I'm guessing it's right around that 270.
Okay. And what kind of transmission you got in it?
It's an 8-speed.
8-speed? Okay. Okay.
Split.
8-speed what?
It's a split.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That wing on it here, and the plow obviously has been. Did the plow get bought new with it, or is that
Everything that was on the truck came with it.
And that was bought, you know, what year then?
2000.
In 2000, was it new then?
Yes.
Okay, 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 that sounds fine. I think the previous commissioners or whatever, their mode of a 10 or 12-year rotation on stuff is probably good. Obviously, most people want to see that the roads are plowed on time and the trucks aren't getting fixed on a snowy day. But in fact, the other interesting thing, just recently they said cars and light trucks average 11 years in service today, and so obviously looking at what the general public is experiencing, it's time for this one to go.
Well, it's time for it to go, but you got to look at a snowplow truck as far as what it's being used for. It's not under over-the-road conditions. It's in, severe conditions. When you're plowing snow with it and you're hitting drifts that are hard as a rock and it's throwing the truck around and stuff, the suspension and the plow, you can see the plow is all welded up.
Yeah, I see that. And I think the county board would be best if they just kept on a 10 or 12-year rotation. They've billed the taxpayer and to have the funds available, and they're going to spend that money someplace else anyway, so I like to keep the roads open in the
And everything at the same time.
like I said, I've run a number 10 trucks or owned them, and I'd be throwing.
It doesn't use the urea and stuff. It's their own engine design.
Okay, and I think the commissioners say that that's what the new one that they were looking at.
It's identical, same engine.
Identical. Okay. And this was bought when?
Sam, when was this one bought? That's the driver for it. You can probably ask him a question.
Walk around with me quick. And tell us about your truck.
A year ago last fall.
Okay, just stand up there and then speak loud. You said a year ago last fall was bought?
Yeah, so the fall of 2010.
And Manly International, is that in Alexandria? Manny? Is that where they're located? Or St. Cloud? Alexandria. Okay, so it's bought local dealer, and you like this truck?
Very good truck.
What's this got for a transmission? The automatic in this?
Automatic, yeah.
Okay, that's what I would think would also make you guys a lot easier as far as plowing, that kind of thing.
It's a lot easier. I went from a 7-speed straight stick to this. It's a lot of difference.
Just walk around and crack the door open on this one. We'll take a quick look. Okay. Similar controls for the plow and box and hoist and all that kind of thing. And
Similar, yeah.
What kind of mileage you get out of this? Any difference in mileage in the two trucks, you think, guys?
Depends on what you're doing. Summertime, they're pretty similar. Maybe this one's a little better. In the wintertime, this one seems to take a little more fuel.
Okay.
Well, when we're out plowing, this one and that one are pretty similar in the amount of gallons we end up putting in, and we got about the same amount of oil.
Okay. Yeah. The automatic transmission probably takes a little more fuel, but obviously a lot with short trips and turning and backing up, and makes a lot of sense. And box here and tandem. Walk around her quick, and then I'll get out of your way so you guys can go home and enjoy your evening.
Pretty much the same. Sanders on the new trucks now the last number of years have been stainless steel.
Okay.
Yeah, of course. Stainless steel doesn't rust.
Right.
So that's
that's a big improvement. The other difference on this truck, this truck has the wing behind the underbody.
Okay.
So what comes off the underbody gets thrown off the road by the wing.
Okay.
On that truck and on the older trucks, the wings were in front of the underbody, and so sometimes you get a little windrow of snow or slop that you scrape off, and it won't get winged off the road. You might have to come back again and wing it off if it's enough.
Well, this is
all
wham bam, thank you ma'am, but it's
one-round
done.
operation, pretty much. So it's definitely an improvement.
How long you been plowing roads in Douglas County?
15 years.
15 years. You should know what you're doing then.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
Well, what we're looking at here is to try to give our audience what Inform TV thinks that the old style true press needs to do. You don't need to just listen to public officials. You need to check out what they're talking about, and you have to be a person like myself who has background that knows how to run a welder, fix a blade if it needs it, has driven trucks, has bought trucks, has owned trucks, tractors, and so forth. And too much in the discussions we have nowadays, government seems to need to function in a fluid fashion. And when I'm talking about a fluid fashion, I'm talking about let's follow common procedures and keep up with it. Everybody knows the budget, the taxes are going to this, that, and the other thing. They're not going to give us any money back if they get out of a sound equipment rotation. Some other buddy's pet project is going to get the call. And what I'm looking at here is when we have our government, we're going to give you now another example of some of the things that came up at the county commissioner meeting related to labor, related to how the bargaining process goes, some of the things that the capacity of the new jail and so forth. And once again, what was said at the public meeting compared to really getting out and checking on the outcome of what was said and the balance sheet.
I got some. You approved to have no smoke or tobacco on public or county property. Does that include the grandstand at the fairgrounds then too, or?
No, that's not county property.
Here's one of the things that I often find when you go to a county commissioner meeting. They're either packed or like this, a ghost town. And maybe that's a good compliment of our county officials and our county commissioners, that people trust their government. Yet at the same time, follow through as I start asking some questions of our elected officials and their response.
Right, most of the city, I was wondering about that smoking in the grandstand is on the racetrack. They're bored, you know. County Ag Association. Thanks.
Sure. And did you have an item?
Yes, Alan Repke, Inform TV. People are curious about what's going on with labor negotiations. I see your schedule here with to meet after the meeting about labor. Can you give the citizens of Douglas County an update on negotiations or labor?
I think we've signed most of our contracts, and we have one left there.
We have one today that you need to agree on. We also have a new union that we haven't even started to negotiate with, so that'll be up in the future.
So we've done pretty well wrapped up.
Can you give us a little?
The other union contracts, or labor contracts, that's public information, how it's not got. Those are the morning.
Yep.
Can you give us a rough summary? What kind of increases did they get? Or?
been 1% 1st of January now, and another 0.5% on July 1st. That's a 2-year contract with another 1% next January 1st. And that's basically it.
And then a new union to deal with, can you give us a little thought process on that, or who that is?
It's our license bureau.
What do you mean by license bureau?
People that work at the license bureau.
Well, they want to become a unionized?
Well, they are. They were certified.
But they want to be a separate union then?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing, you had a discussion going on about the correction officer. What was the exact title here?
Correctional
Director?
Correction officer.
Correction officer. In the negotiation process, was there ever a thought of the county prison being managed by a private entity like some are doing? And why I bring this up, the cooks at the new jail facility, they're not unionized anymore, are they? They got deunionized? That's correct?
No, we didn't deunionize. They are not employees of Douglas County. They are hired from Aviance. It's a food prep service.
And why was that done?
Because we could save a substantial more money.
So why aren't you looking at doing the same thing with the management of that jail facility?
And we did look at that a little bit before we built the jail, just in the discussions passing, but there wasn't enough interest in it to have. We're too small. And we are too small, yeah.
But did you actually put it out for bids to see if any of these?
No, we did not.
Like the group in Appleton, I don't even know they're still functioning yet.
The group in Appleton is closed up, has been closed up for 2 years now. And I think we need to talk to them regarding what the cause of that close up was. Because that was...
Well, it looks like we're going to have to do a part 2 of this. We want to thank you for listening to Inform TV today, and watch for part 2.